All right, guys, joining us right now is the new director of baseball operations. He was the director of minor league operations, Paul Kruger, and he's actually also, actually, he's joining us from Amarillo, right?
Yes, yeah, in Amarillo, and hopefully can get our Hickory boys over the hump here and kind of a last hurrah over the next 4 games. So it should be fun for everybody.
You at the courtyard there in downtown Amarillo, or have you?
There's an Embassy Suites a block away, so it's actually quite nice.
All right, well, good. Do you know what a sod poodle is?
No, but they have a terrible winning song that I hope I never have to hear for the next 4 days, because that means that we're playing well. But it's I worked a lot in high desert, as you know, Jeff, and the wind blows out here like it does there. So hopefully we can keep it in the ballpark tonight and pull out some W's over the next couple of days.
Yeah, I was following that first game yesterday, the doubleheader, and it was 8-2. Then Frisco went ahead, and then it was 10-9, and 10, and I know the Frisco, the Amarillo wind. I had a lot of family up there, and I used to play a lot of golf up there, so it can be brutal.
Yeah, I've actually played golf here, and that didn't go too well. And I'm not sure if it was the wind or just the fact that I'm not good at all. But we'll call it the wind. We'll call it the wind,
baby.
Yes, absolutely.
Always make excuses when your golf game is horrible.
No doubt.
It's the wind.
100%.
It's the wind.
So what we're doing here, we're doing like a minor league wrap up, and we John and I had talked a little earlier. I think wins and losses wise, you don't really look at that. I think that for the Texas Rangers has been a very good year on the farm.
I would agree. I think even wins and losses, you look up and 3 of our 4 full season teams are gonna finish over 500, hopefully, with Round Rock making a push here at the end, and even in Hickory. And I know they've really struggled here at the end, but you look at that month and a half, 2-month stretch where they were tops and really on both sides of the ball, from the pitching side to the hitting side, and the amount of players that they've moved up. But winning's important. I think winning builds good culture. It provides opportunity for growth and development, pre-game, post-game, in-game, for different opportunities. But you look up in the success that I think our players have had, not only staying within the minor leagues, but I think you're seeing it start to trickle up to the big leagues, and some of the guys that have gone up there pitching wise with Glenn Otto, AJ Alexi, Jake Latz, and Yoel Pozo, and you keep going on and on. But it's been a very successful year, and I'm very happy with the work that our staff put in first and foremost, and then our players really most importantly have done themselves. So it's been a fun year to get back into it after a down year in 2020.
Sure. I think there's a lot of unknowns coming into the year because of last year. It seems like whatever programs you had guys on, they've managed to stay healthy. You haven't pushed guys too hard. It seems like you guys would be comfortable with how things have panned out from just getting back to baseball perspective.
Oh, it's amazing, and it's so good to be able to get back. And I think we're thrilled by the way things have gone. I give a lot of credit to our performance department, led by Napoleon Pichardo and Sean Fields, Chris Olson, and the entire medical staff there. And then on the pitching side with John Armold and Danny Clark, the work that they did to put together a tremendous throwing program. I think we've seen how that's played out. And ideally, and realistically, we didn't miss 2020. And that was kind of the goal, is to keep these guys going and have a tremendous throwing program and tremendous plan for these guys. And also to check in with them constantly to make them feel like they're a part of the organization and they're a part of the season, even though they're all at home. We did a count right before the season started, and there were over 15,000 check-ins by our staff members to players, for whether on the pitching side, on the position player side, medical staff, strength, so on and so forth. So our goal was to connect with the players nearly 5 to 6 days a week. And sometimes it was baseball, sometimes it was just life. And it was, how are you doing? Because I think we all struggled with that at times, myself included, being a person who lived by himself. And as you know, Jeff, and I'm never at home. And I think that couch saw me more than I've ever seen the couch in my entire life. But it was good from that end. But I think it carried over into the season, and the relationships led to trust, and trust led to results. And ultimately, knock on wood, we've stayed relatively healthy over this part of the season with just a little bit left to go.
Yeah, on the it seems like some guys had the benefit of being at the alternate camp, and one who sticks out is Cole Winn, and I think Bubba Thompson had some time at the alternate camp, and they've both had like big development years. Can you talk about those two?
Yeah, they've had massive wins. They've been massive wins this year. I think Cole Winn, the work that he did at the alt site with Sags, Brennan Segara, and Jono on the pitching side, and then continued that into Arizona development camp, is what we called it, rather than instructional league, because that's what it was. But he really pitched the whole year. He got the chance to retool and refine his pitch characteristics of really all of his pitches and become more comfortable with what he does. And I think we're seeing that play off in the season here so far. I mean, he's had tremendous experiences from the futures game to being able to pitch and make every one of the starts that he's scheduled to make, outside of his little COVID setback he had there. But he's a true starter in our eyes, with 4+ pitches that he can throw in the zone and when and where he wants at any time, which is fun to watch. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do for the remainder of this year as he continues, hopefully into a playoff run. But the composure that he has too is probably another thing that's really taken a step up on Cole Winn's behalf. And I think a lot of that had to do with the alt side and facing major league type hitters day in and day out, and having the belief and having the success that he did really played out. And again, being able to fine tune and craft in what he does well. I think for Bubba last year, his big time was the developmental league. He got a chance to play every single day against the highest level of competition that was available, and really build that belief. I think, you look at 2019, he battled an injury. 2018, he was relatively healthy and had a really good year. But 2020 allowed his body to get healthy and allowed him to really fine tune his swing. The work that Cody Atkinson has done in 2020 and 2021, combined with Josue Perez, our hitting coach here, he's done a phenomenal job with all of these guys. Bubba's just been able to find the kind of player he is. And the thing we were talking about as I'm here with them right now is he's not just a one-dimensional type of hitter. He's not, he's got the speed. He can bunt. He can play the game. He's beating shifts, which he was never able to do. He's hitting the ball out of the ballpark. So he's really becoming more of a complete type hitter. And I think you're seeing that with the way defenses are approaching him, and he's being able to capitalize off of what they're doing. So really excited about those two amongst many other players where they're at currently.
Yeah, John and I were talking earlier about the positives, and we're trying to come up with some negatives, and there really aren't a lot. You guys have stayed healthy. The two negatives I chose is that Sam Huff and Josh Young didn't play in the majors this year, but I mean they're healthy now, and it just seems like that they're not, in this year when you look at the major league team, it seems like it's just fine that they won't be in the major leagues.
I would agree. I think I would call both of their seasons successful. I think obviously, starting with Huffy, I think and he could say it himself, would like to be hitting better than he is. But coming back from some of the injuries that he's had, especially with the knee in the offseason, and being able to play a majority of his games, even at first base, he'll move back to catcher here when the season ends and work towards being his position, which is catcher. But I think it's been successful from the fact that he's gotten to face upper level pitching night in and night out, learn from what he does and how he needs to make adjustments. But I would not consider it a failure. I think it's just areas to improve and the ability to show that he can do different things. And when he does take one of his tools away, which was our choice to remove catching, that he's still a valuable piece. And I think Josh Young obviously had the setback with the injury earlier in the season, but the work that he did in AA for the period of time he was there, AAA now, I think the Ranger fans have a lot to be excited about with this kid. I think the defense is superb. He's a type of guy. I was talking to a scout when I was in Round Rock last week, and he's the type of guy where when you watch from day in and day out, you just realize and appreciate what he can do. It's not flashy, but he'll drive the ball to where it's pitched. He can hit the ball out to all parts of the ballpark. He can hit any pitch at any time, anywhere. And really, the thing that I think a lot of people were wondering is the defense, and the defense has been been very good, like I mentioned earlier. And his first step is immaculate. The guy prepares like none other pregame, but also pre-pitch. And it's fun to watch, and something that I really picked up on through Kenny Holmberg, a former infield coordinator, now our Round Rock manager. And you just watch him pre-pitch and the things that he's doing to read the hitter, read what pitch is coming, understand swings. It's excellent, and it's high level stuff coming from a kid that is really playing in his first full season as a professional.
The thing that you wanted him to work on was pull side power, and he's done that, and he's still able to go the other way. I mean, I think he has 16 homers as we sit here right now, and that's pretty good. I mean, that
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have 200 at bats.
No, and the amount of games that he's missed, I think it's 270 plate appearances, roughly, something like that. I'm not 100. I might be wrong there, but anyways, that's what's the fun part is. We like to talk about, and Cody preaches solutions for various pitches, and his ability to have that pull side power and understand counts, understand what the pitcher is trying to do to him is giving him another weapon. I think the big thing that he's learning, and that's really in AAA where you have a little more advanced type pitchers is, I have the pull side ability, but my ability to hit the ball out in right center field is just as important and just as vital and valuable, frankly, as my pull side power. So having all of those clubs, as we like to say, in playing golf in your golf bag or in your tool bag is important, and he's got those.
Two other areas that you guys gained a lot of depth this year. Not just what developed, but through the trade deadline also. And really it dates to last year's trade deadline with Dustin Harris. So nobody likes to trade Joey Gallo. I know that, but it seems like that those two trades, the Gibson trade and the Gallo trade, kind of maybe brought some more attention to your system that it had been overdue.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, as well as obviously our second overall pick didn't hurt the cause there as well. But yeah, I think the type of player we brought in, and that's kudos to our pro department and the guys from the Yankees, and then you mentioned too, like Dustin Harris, a name that a lot of people thought Marcus Smith was the big get there, and Marcus Smith's going to be a tremendous player. He's playing currently in Arizona as a rehabber, and he's on his way back, and will get full time in the instructional league. But you start adding these pieces, and when you add pieces and you have big names that are doing what we expect them to do, other names also start to show up, and you start to recognize the type of talent and depth, to your point, Jeff, that we have in the system. You look at that team at one point there in Hickory, where you had Dustin Harris, Blaine Krim, Justin Foscue, you had Josh Smith, Ezekiel Duran, all in one infield, and it was just prospects all over the place, and it was a fun thing to follow. But I think for guys in the system and for our staff as well, it's fun to get that recognition. It's not something that we pride ourselves or push ourselves to be, hey, we have to be a top 10 farm system, top 5 farm system. It's not what we talked about in PD, but what we talked about is making sure that the work that we done and that our players were putting in and the type of players that we had was recognized internally as well as externally. And I think that's starting to happen. So it's fun to go to the ballpark every day knowing that you're not there just to see player X. You're really there to see 1 through 9, and not just the starter, but every bullpen's got some reliever or multiple relievers, I should say, that have a chance to help us in the big ones.
Yeah, you mentioned the draft. I mean, and then number 2 overall, Jack Leiter, but you guys picked second in every round. And Willie Calhoun, I was talking to him yesterday. He had rehabbed in Arizona, and I said, hey, did anybody stand out there? And he said Ricky Vanasco, who he stood in against bullpens. But then he said the third rounder, Cam Cauley. He said Cam Cauley can do everything. So it seems like you guys didn't just hit at the very top. You hit, Aaron Zavala's doing well at 2. Cam Colley, 4 and 5 are in the ACL too. So it seems like there's just early indications are you've had a good draft.
Yeah, I would say so. I think we're really excited about what Jack's going to provide us when he gets going. We've kudos to the performance department. They've been really neck and neck with him all throughout the last couple of months and been with him constantly. And then like you mentioned, Zavala, he's continued to hit since he's been promoted to Down East. Cam Colley is a tremendous player, just like Willie said, can do a bunch of different things and all over the field, can run like the wind. He's a plus runner, but plays really good shortstop and really can control the bat. So excited about him. And then you keep going down the line with Mahler, and you got Tucker Mitchell, who really has stood out with the bat. Pitching wise, Bradford Webb, a name that didn't get a lot of publicity, has done a great job. Evan Elliott, Larson Kindrich. It just keeps going on, and not just from this past draft. Give a lot of credit to our amateur department with running by Kip Fag and Adam Lukowitz with Evan Carter, a name that I know got a lot of publicity, good and bad, on the night of the draft. And I mean, you look up, and in our estimation, he's got a chance to be one of our top players when he's going, and he can do a lot of different things. So just a tremendous job of finding and recognizing talent, in our opinion, by our amateur scouting department. And it's really been fun to kind of see how all those departments over the last really 2 years have come together more and more and better than ever, with the amateur, pro, and player development really trying to work as a unit. And I'm excited to see how that continues to go.
And then up next is Instructs. Who's going to be there, and what do you expect to see?
Yeah, I mean, Instructs is always a fun time. It's always been one of my favorite times of the year because you get a lot of your top guys, really from high A down. The majority of the players are high A down, and really most of them are the Arizona guys. Just gives us an opportunity from the coordinator staff to be around them, see them, work individually with them on different things. And you'll have some guys that could come there, such as, Dustin Harris is a guy that's scheduled to be there, and he's going to, focus in on some things defensively. And can we move him more around the field and get him playing some third base like he has, playing potentially some outfield, but finding new ways for him to be as versatile because he's a really good athlete. Then you talk about on the pitching side, you get a bunch of those younger guys there. Josh Gessner will be there. All of our draft picks will be there. And it'll be a lot of one-on-one time with guys rather than focusing solely on the season where, you're focused on that 7 p.m. game, to use that term. It's really about the player themselves and the instruct part of individualizing their plan. So using our performance center, using everything we have in Arizona, there's just so much that we can do, so much information that we can gather, and so many great plans that we can put in place for arguably the most important time that they're going to have. And that's going to be from now October, since our season goes so late, from October until next April when their season starts. So that 5 months is just vital.
Will Young and Huff go to Instructs, or will they play elsewhere this off season to catch up on whatever they might have missed?
So some of those decisions are still being made. Some of the older guys, Davis Wenzel, who's missed a bunch of time, Justin Foscue, those kind of guys will likely play, whether it's the fall league or some other type of league. They will come to Instructs likely for a period of time. It's kind of hit or miss depending on the situation. But I think it's important that we try to get these guys games, just like innings with a guy like Tim Brennan in Double-A, who missed a bunch of time early in the season. You got to get these guys to a certain workload to be able to go full bore next year. So
good season, good prospects, and you got a promotion.
Yeah. No, I take zero credit for that. Honestly, the work that we talk about it a bunch, and being here in Frisco with these guys. I was just in Round Rock, and it's been, to call what it is, it's been a complete 180 from where we were last year sitting on the couch. And it's been tough on a lot of people because we've been away, and you've been away from home. And what you got used to in 2020 was back to what reality is in our business in 2021. So I really can't commend and cannot thank the staff enough for what they've done. And the amount of time that they're away from their family and the work that they put in for these kids, but also most importantly, the work that our kids do. We have tremendous kids, tremendous character, tremendous people on and off the field. And that's what leads to the success. And I think that's why we're having success. And I think that's why the Rangers are going to get back to where we all want to be in the big leagues, because of not just the type of player we have, but the type of people we have.
Yeah, that's the thing. These kids are so good, and just like people, just so nice and smart, and they just seem to know what they want, and
Yeah.
they go about it without ego. Just it seems like that's kind of what Chris Woodward wants, in a player. So and I know you guys, when it comes to acquiring guys, you guys look at that, and that's a real thing.
Yeah, makeup's huge, character's huge, and I think the way that a guy plays the game of baseball is huge. And you look at some of the guys that have gone up there recently, and the way that the big league team, it's fun to watch. It's a fun product that creates opportunities to score by really being aggressive. It's selectively aggressive. It's something that at times we'll have to pull our hair out, because you're like, no, you can't run there. This is not a time to run. But what is fun on the flip side is those are teachable moments, and we'd rather be able to pull you back than have to give you a little tap on the back to get you going. So it's a fun environment, and that's all started by the type of players we have and pushed by the great staff and coaches that we have that work with them on a day in and day out basis.
Awesome.
Hey, Paul, you travel a lot as a director of minor league operations, right? How much do you travel?
I'm on the road. Well, in 2019, we'll use that number.
Yeah,
I was on the road 252 days. I keep track of every day.
Gosh.
And yeah, this year 2020 was my low point of my entire career, obviously.
Yeah.
And then 2021, I'm on the road roughly 20 days, if not more, a month. This is weird to say, especially transitioning into my new role. I have yet to be at a big league game, a major league game this season.
Holy
So
cow.
I've yet to see our stadium with fans.
Oh, wow.
So I couldn't tell you what that's like. Whether that's, and it's usually because I'm on the road, as we are home right now. I'm on the road. Two reasons for that. Number one is it's important that, we see our players and evaluate our players and staff and provide that help where needed, and be around. And also with the two affiliates that we own in Hickory and Down East, I help those guys out as well. And it's kind of fun to be a little bit kind of a consultant, if you will, for lack of the title or anything, but it's fun to kind of dip your toe in that. But number two, and it's something that I'm a big believer in, is when we have camps, we have events going on, we have the season going on, and we require our players and staff to be away from their family. I think it's important that we reciprocate that, and we do the same thing. So I make it a point that anytime that we have something going on, I'm there for support. I'm there to show that I'm with them. If they need anything, I'm in the fight with them. I'm in the trenches. I've actually had to suit up this year in uniform for various reasons, and I coached first base because we had some COVID issues with our staff. So
wow,
I got to experience things that I never thought I was. But and it's not by any means to say that I have any clue what I'm doing as in terms of a coach similar to the guys that we have and the quality of people that we have. But I think it's important that these guys know we're there for them and we're there with them, most importantly. And that's what I like to do. And that's what I'm going to miss most about this new job. And it's going to provide new opportunities, but being there with these guys day in and day out in these towns is something that is truly important to me. And I enjoy it more than I can explain on here.
Go ahead, Jeff.
My first Paul Kruger real memory of interacting with him was in the Dominican in 2014, and I had it was my first time down there, and we were driving around. The old complex was in Boca Chica, and so was the new one, but the old dumpy place. And we were driving around, and I wanted to see where Jairo Barris, who was the ballyhooed signee that year, where he had grown up, because I'd heard that it was just a very poor, grew up very poor, third world type of situation. And It was. I mean, his house was like a tin shed, and but we were leaving the hometown, the little town, like just off the spot on the road, and there are some kids playing baseball, and so at this dilapidated field, but they were having a great time. And Paul gets out and just starts talking Spanish to them, just like he was their best friend, and they were talking to us back, and I mean, anyway, Paul's been around. I guess that's what I'm getting to. He's been all over the place, all over the map. He's done so much with the organization. So, kind of one of the behind the scene guys. You always hear from John Daniels and Chris Young, but it's guys like Paul that help make the thing go.
He probably saw an 11-year-old that looked promising. That's where's your mom and dad? Are your mom and dad around? You didn't understand, Jeff. You don't speak Spanish.
I know. No doubt. No, but that was, I got my start in the Dominican in 2009, summer 2009, lived down there for 3 years. So I know what it's like, and really the memories, and Kenny Holmberg and I were talking about it a couple of days ago, that because he was one of my managers. Tingler was number one. He was the first manager. Kenny Holmberg was the second one. And we were just joking about the good times, the crazy times, the not so good times that you get to experience. But I tell everybody there's no better place to start, because you're on your own island, literally on an island by yourself. And the mistakes and, I guess, areas to improve, if you want to call them that you get to experience, or you can't get those in the United States. You can't get those in normal internships, and being able to be down there, live down there. That experience was something I'll never forget. And every time I talk to students or people, I say, find something like that. Find something nobody else at the time wanted to do. Go down there, be a part of it, embrace it. And that's only going to help you, whether you end up staying in the game or not.
Now, let me ask you this. Is the new job are you going to travel near as much with the new job?
I don't believe so. At least not to these types of cities. I think I'll be traveling a bit with the Major League Club. I obviously, if the opportunity presents itself, we'll likely travel to some of our affiliates. But most of my job will be with most of it, if not all of it, will be with the Major League Club and Major League operations.
It's gonna put a dent in your airline miles, man.
That is true. That is true. I hear the plane's nice, though. I'll take it.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I've never been on it, but I don't know if I'd want to fly either. I don't know if I'd want to fly with the players. That's a conversation for another day.
Not you. You're the media. You can't talk.
Well, I mean, back in the day, that's the way it was. Until probably I think until the late '80s, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And, but hey, they have their privacy. I want mine too. So
there you go.
All right.
Well, Paul, hey, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, I know that you're busy. You're probably transitioning from one to the next with the job, but just taking time to come out. This is new for Jeff and I. We're 4 episodes in, and we get the new director of baseball operations, Paul Kruger, comes on with us. Man, we can't thank you enough. I know you got a busy day, and thanks for coming on with us.
You got it. Thanks, John. Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it. And thanks for everything you guys are doing to push the organization, push minor league baseball, Jeff. It's a huge part of us, and it's a huge part of, and it means a lot to the people. It means a lot to our players and staff. So thank you all.
Good. You got it.
Okay. That was Paul Kruger, the director.